Anthropic just made an announcement that changes everything about where you can use Claude to build software. Claude Cowork, the coding agent that handles entire development tasks on its own, is now available on your phone and web browser. That's not just a feature release. That's Anthropic pivoting from powerful enterprise tool to this AI lives in your pocket, and it's better than what your competitors use. The timing matters. We're in the middle of what some are calling the coding agent wars, a brutal scramble between OpenAI, DeepSeek, Mistral, Perplexity, and a dozen startups to own the space where AI writes actual production code. Claude Cowork arrived later than some of these tools, but when it showed up on desktop, it landed with real teeth. Developers started using it. Companies started betting on it. And now Anthropic's not content to let it live only in the enterprise cloud. It's bringing it to everyone. But here's what makes this move so significant. Mobile AI development tools are typically simplified, stripped-down versions of desktop builds. Not this time. Anthropic is bringing the full power of Claude's coding abilities to your phone. That means developers in transit can spin up complex tasks, debug production issues in real time, and ship features without touching a laptop. That's a fundamental change in how development work flows, and that's where it gets interesting. To understand why this matters, you need to know what Claude Cowork actually is. It's not just a smarter code autocomplete like GitHub Copilot or Codium. Those tools fill in the next few lines for you. Claude Cowork is something different. It's an agent. You give it a task, build me a login system or debug this API endpoint or refactor this database query, and Claude goes to work independently. It reads your codebase. It understands the architecture. It writes multi-file solutions. It even tests them. Think of GitHub Copilot as an assistant who's really good at typing what you're thinking. Claude Cowork is more like hiring a mid-level developer who can work unsupervised. You point them at a problem, they disappear for an hour, and they come back with a working solution ready to review. For the past 6 months, this was only available on desktop through Claude AI or the Claude API. Enterprises loved it because it cut development time dramatically, but it was a tool for a certain kind of worker, someone at a desk with a powerful laptop. Now Anthropic's changing that. They're saying you don't need to be at a desk to use this. You don't need to be at work. This agent lives everywhere you do. That's the inflection point the industry's been waiting for. So how does Claude Cowork actually work on mobile and web? The architecture is more sophisticated than you might think. On your desktop, Claude Cowork runs through a heavy client that can maintain long-lived connections, cache large codebases in memory, and handle complex file operations instantly. Your phone can't do that. It doesn't have the same memory. It doesn't have local file system access, and mobile networks are less reliable. Anthropic solved this with a distributed agent model. When you spin up a task on mobile or web, Claude Cowork doesn't run entirely on your device. Instead, it delegates parts of the work to Anthropic servers. Your phone becomes the control interface. You describe what you want, you see the progress in real time, and you review what Claude produces. The heavy computation happens remotely, but it stays synchronized with your session. Think of it like remote desktop. But smarter, you're controlling a powerful AI agent that's running in the cloud, and your phone is just the window into that work. The key breakthrough here is latency. Anthropic engineered this so the round-trip time from your phone to Claude's response is fast enough that it feels responsive, under 2 seconds for most interactions. That's not trivial. Getting an AI agent to feel snappy on a mobile network is genuinely hard, and they pulled it off. Here's the twist nobody expected. Let me walk you through what this actually looks like in practice. You're a developer on a train. Your backend API has a memory leak, and your ops team is panicking. You open Claude Cowork on your iPhone, describe the problem, we are losing memory in our node service, check the recent changes, and Claude reads your codebase from the cloud, identifies the leak within 30 seconds, and shows you exactly which line is the culprit. You fix it in the browser and deploy in 5 minutes. Problem solved from 30,000 feet. Or imagine this. You're at a client meeting and someone asks if you can build a new reporting dashboard by Friday. Normally you'd say no or spend 2 days building it. Instead, you pull out your laptop, tell Claude Cowork to build me a React dashboard that pulls from our Postgres database and charts these metrics. And Claude builds the entire component, wires up the API calls, and handles error states. You review it, make 2 small tweaks, ship it. What used to take 2 days takes 2 hours. That's the real-world power change here. Developers go from being chained to their desks to being genuinely mobile, able to solve problems and ship features from anywhere. The constraint of location disappears, and that changes productivity fundamentally. But here's what most coverage gets wrong. So how does Claude Cowork stack up against the competition right now? OpenAI's new agents are powerful, but they're still primarily a desktop and web experience. You can use them on your phone through the web interface, but they're not optimized for mobile. The experience is clunky. DeepSeek's agents are faster and cheaper to run, which is compelling for enterprise, but they're not purpose-built for development work the way Claude is. Mistral's agent framework is solid, but smaller than Claude's capabilities. Here's the key difference. Anthropic went all in on making Claude Cowork purpose-built for developers. It's trained to understand code architecture, to make safe refactors, to write comprehensive tests. Other agents are general purpose and can do coding, but they're not specialized. And now that Claude Cowork is mobile first, that specialization gives Anthropic a real advantage. The market dynamics change here. Before today, Claude Cowork was powerful but desktop only. A lot of companies thought, okay, useful for our senior developers at their desks, but not our whole team. Now it's powerful and everywhere. That's a different pitch. It's not just faster code completion. It's about fundamentally changing how your team works. And suddenly, that's a much bigger market. And this is where things get surprising. Let's talk about what this means for the broader market. The AI agent space has been growing, but it's been fragmented. Tons of startups building agents for customer service, for content creation, for data analysis. But the coding agent space specifically, the part where AI actually writes production code, that's still dominated by a handful of players. Anthropic just made a move that consolidates their position. When Claude Cowork is on every device, developers naturally reach for it first. It becomes the default tool, the one everyone knows how to use. That's how markets work. The best product on the best distribution channel wins, and Anthropic now has both. There's a business angle too. Anthropic makes money from API usage. The more you use Claude Cowork, the more API calls you make, the more revenue they generate. They're not selling seats or licenses. They are selling agency, the ability for an AI to do work on your behalf. And the more accessible that agency is, the more people use it. Mobile access is a distribution play disguised as a feature release. For other agent companies, this is a warning shot. Anthropic's not just competing on capability anymore. They're competing on accessibility, on convenience, on the seamless experience of having a developer AI in your pocket. That's a high bar to clear. But wait, there's something nobody's talking about. So how do you actually use this? If you're already a Claude subscriber or developer with API access, you're in luck. Claude Cowork is available right now on the Claude iOS app and the Claude web interface. No separate download, no special sign-up. Just open Claude, tap into Cowork mode, and start describing development tasks. For the web version, it works the same way. You navigate to Claude, AI, log in, and there's a Cowork tab right there. Pick your project or let Claude handle a new task from scratch. The interface shows you real-time progress as Claude works through the problem. You see it reading files, analyzing code, making changes, running tests. You can pause it, ask it to adjust direction, or let it finish and review the full solution. One critical thing to know, Claude Cowork needs permissions to access your codebase. On mobile, that means granting access to your repository through your Git hosting platform. On web, same story. Anthropic handles this securely with OAuth, so your credentials never get exposed. And crucially, you can revoke access anytime. The interface is deliberately transparent about what Claude can see and what it's doing. That's intentional. Trust is essential when you're letting an AI touch your production code. Here's what the headlines aren't telling you. So here's what this means for you. If you're a developer, you've just gained a genuinely useful tool that lives in your pocket. No more desk-bound work. No more I'll fix that when I'm at my laptop. You can ship code from anywhere on your own timeline. That's freedom you didn't have 6 months ago. If you run an engineering team, this changes your staffing calculus. Productivity goes up when your developers aren't geographically anchored. You can hire talent anywhere. You can onboard them faster because they've got AI support from day one. And you can move faster as a company because your team isn't waiting for meetings or for people to be in the same place. For the broader AI industry, This is a signal about what's coming. Anthropic is saying AI agents aren't going to stay confined to enterprise dashboards and specialized software. They're going to live everywhere. They're going to be part of how regular work gets done. And whoever builds the best agent and makes it available everywhere wins. The coding agent wars just got real, and the next phase doesn't happen on your desktop anymore, it happens in your pocket. The tools you use to build software are changing fundamentally. Stay on top of this. Follow for daily AI news, and we'll break down these changes as they happen.